Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. So I'm looking at all these new contracts. And you know, it really is interesting. I'm totally comfortable with Jordan Love's. And some of it's just this, because I fashion myself as a poor man's scout. He's bigger than Tua. He's faster than Tua. He's got a better arm than Tua. And Green Bay almost always gets offense right. That's my bias. Whereas Tua's smaller, don't love his arm, not as athletic, and Miami screws stuff up. The Tua $212 million, I'm a little uncomfortable with it. I don't think I would have gone there. But I think to myself all the time what Jay Glazer once said, the worst great job in America is being a football coach, driving to the stadium knowing you're going to win 6 games. And if Tua's upright, you have a chance to win 11. So I just think I trust the Packers. Jordan's bigger, stronger, faster, better whip. Where are you on Tua? 212 over 4 years. Would you have gone there?
And $170 million guaranteed is insane to me. I think there's two ways to look at it. That contract to me is jaw-dropping. I think most people that have watched him play go, that's crazy. That's insane. Because you have no shot to beat any of the top quarterbacks who are all in your conference. And we just saw last year, you were like, what were they, 8-1 or 9-2? And the other Bills were 6-6, and they still ended up winning the division. Why? Because Josh Allen translates in November, December, and January, and your guy doesn't. But there is value in just being relevant and competing to make the wild card every year.
Yes.
So why can't we find some middle ground of like Alex Smith never made Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady money, but like he was getting Harbaugh and Andy Reid to the playoffs, and there was value in him. And now we've got to the point of like, well, you just got to make this much. Why? Why couldn't you just offer him Daniel Jones money? Like $90 million guaranteed. Cut that guarantee in half. Who are you bidding against? Like, thing with Dak, you know, if he hit the open market, other people would be interested. The Raiders would take him in a heartbeat. Like, and he's proven like every single year you can win 12 games. Tua, it still feels like, is he even that good? But he clearly, you could win with him. You have a good offensive coordinator. He's a good guy, like the character stuff. But his physical flaws, one, he's a relic. He's a true pocket quarterback, bad athlete relative. And I heard you. What was your analogy about the furniture with your quarterbacks?
I like my quarterbacks like my furniture, big and hard to move.
Okay, so the old school quarterbacks, anyone that's ever met one of these guys, Carson Palmer, Eli, or Peyton. Did you see the pictures of Peyton at Team USA practice standing next to all these guys that are 6'7" to 6'10"? He does not look that much smaller than any of them.
I know it.
The Mannings are huge. Carson Palmer is a giant. Phillip Rivers is huge. Well, that's how Tua plays. The problem is he's 6 feet tall and he's got a weak arm. So he doesn't translate to the winter. Well, he plays in a division with cold weather teams. So I get investing in him. And if you would have said, hey, they signed him to a 3-year, $100 million deal and they guaranteed every penny, I'd be like, I kind of get it. But to pay him enormous money, I think is insane. I just don't know. Like, when it comes to Jordan Love, if you and I polled every GM we know and said, who would you take for this next 5 years, Jordan Love or Tua?
They'd all take Jordan.
It'd be unanimous. It would be 100%. So Jordan Love technically signed for less. That's what I just think. Listen, I don't get it. I'm shorting the Dolphins for the next 3 or 4 years. I'll tell you that.
Well, and here's the other issue. In 32 years since Brett Favre arrived, it's been 32 years since he stepped foot. He was a Packer. The Packers have the number 1 rated offense in the league, second winningest team to New England, and have never in 32 years that I recall have a bad offensive line. So if you look at the ancillary reality of Green Bay, Jordan Love will get better protection on average and better coaching on average. So Jordan Love got paid less and has much better support system. So, I mean, Stephen Ross is one of the richer owners, but do you really trust him? He's always been a distracted owner. And Miami hasn't had a great offensive line since Don Shula. So my take is not only don't I love the Tua contract, but let's just be honest, over 5 years of it, he'll have middle of the pack O lines. And there's the possibility that they won't draft terribly well. I mean, Green Bay is, I said this the other day, like there's certain people, if Spielberg makes a movie or is involved in something, if you go to his like movie page, it's almost always good. He has B projects. He doesn't have any C's. Like Green Bay, if they had a bad season, it's because a quarterback got hurt. I mean, they're B to A minus, virtually B plus to A minus every year of my life. So the other thing I don't like about Tua is Marino had Shula. I don't think Mike McDaniels, I guess the way I would say it's this. There are about 4 organizations and 4 ownership groups I just trust implicitly, and Miami's not one of them.
No. I think people often ask, like, why have the Ravens stayed so consistent over now 2.5 decades? They've had the same people there forever. Yep. So Eric DeCosta, who's now in charge, worked for Ozzie Newsome for 20 years. Well, when you look at the Packers, it's kind of similar. Maybe coaches, they go from McCarthy to LaFleur, but Gutekunst worked for Ted Thompson, who worked for Ron Wolf. I mean, the carryover of the philosophical beliefs of the organization have not changed. The non-negotiables of what you look for in players, the way you develop. Obviously, in Green Bay, they love offensive coaches. And I think when you look at Jordan Love, I don't think they get enough credit because the way our society works, we're always on to the next. For when they pulled the trigger on drafting him, I mean, it was pretty ugly. They got destroyed. Charlie Munger says, if you can't handle, the 50% downturns, you deserve the mediocre returns. Well, that was ugly. I mean, it created this weird dynamic with Rodgers. It was crazy. Even though Rodgers, remember, was coming off that kind of weird season their first year. But when they did it, well, 3-4 years later, it's paying off big dividends. Now, there's still risk involved. Like, there's still some unknown with this player. He's only had 8 good games. But I don't know if you have watched any of I watched a little bit of his press conference, I think yesterday, and I saw a clip today with NFL Network is there. Just because he's been the backup, you haven't really heard. He's pretty impressive.
Yes.
Just as a guy and just his maturity, I was like, damn, totally. This has a Mahomes, Josh Allen, the way he carries himself. And obviously, like you said, first off, you have to have the physical. Alex Smith checked every box except weak arm. And, if he had a great arm, he would have been Aaron Rodgers or something, and that's what this guy has. He has these physical characteristics. He has the infrastructure around him, and then he has the maturity. I think I don't know if he's going to be the Aaron Rodgers 2.0, but how's he not going to be pretty damn good? And listen, my life, Joe Montana was a little bit before me. I remember as a kid, he was more on the Chiefs, then Steve Young, and then Jeff Garcia, who was nowhere near as good as those two, but he was still damn good going to the Pro Bowl. I think this guy has a chance to be like their version of Jeff Garcia, but actually closer to Rodgers or Favre. And that's why I think they feel really good. Now he got $75 million signing bonus. He will get $75 million. I think it's 3 $25 million direct deposits between now and like mid-December. So, they're pushing all their chips in the middle of the table on this. But I think you ask people around the league, any person that watched them, if you're a fan of the Packers, you go, yeah, I get it. I would do it. Or it's the opposite reaction of Tua. Like, did you need to do this? That's my question. Did you need to do this? Well, a little NBA. When NBA teams just max out guys, like you're a 40-win team. You have to pay this guy $200 million? You don't.
Right. When I also think last year when I watched Green Bay, I actually thought it was Matt LaFleur's team. When I watched them, I thought, I feel like I'm watching Matt LaFleur's play calling, and I think you have to kind of, the Jets or the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of Aaron's team, and that's you just deal with that. Even Brady, as great as he was, especially in New England, maybe less so in Tampa. I mean, Tom kind of let the coach call the plays. Peyton always kind of ran the offense he wanted. Yeah. So I feel like that's the other thing with Jordan Love. Really coachable, really easy.